This is what I'm going to show you how to make in this video. As always, you can grab this full track. It's literally an entire, fully laid out, arranged track with everything in this style. The entire track template, samples, MIDI, presets, everything is available on my website right at the top of the description. This is a really great resource. I wouldn't miss out, guys. You can make a lot of tracks from this, and this can really help you take your tracks to the next level if you've been struggling, or if you just need some new inspiration. This is literally one of the fastest things you can do to make the best music of your life right now, today. Link is at the top of the description. Thanks so much for the support, and let's dive in. Alright guys, I've been learning a bunch of new stuff about making the style and really figuring it out lately, so I want to make another video showing you how to make the best possible track in the style, and a full track, not an 8-bar loop, not, how to do the elements, but how to put this whole thing together. So, we're going to start at the top here. I've got this sidechain layer. All it is I took the main kick and I shortened it and then muted it so that you can have this. And you can sidechain stuff to that, and you get this kind of better sidechain. See how that's like a bit tighter? That's why we do that, instead of sidechaining it to the main kick. But then we have the main kick. And so this is actually a new reverb technique. I've never shown you guys this before. So we've got the main kick, of course, as usual, which is already like a very fat kick. That sits really well in the mix. But then to make the rumble, what we're doing is it's actually kind of combining some techniques, but also doing new stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing the rumble where you warp the kick and stretch it out. Right, so we've got that. But what I'm doing with that, to kind of make it a little bit different, for one, I've started dragging this start time forward. So what that does is basically you can kind of control the pitch of the kick, because the way a kick, or of the rumble, because the way a kick works, like in the kick sample, basically it's very high right at the start, and then it goes down in pitch, right? Like that's how you see the waveform kind of spreading out. Like this is like the high part, and then this is where it gets lower and lower until you don't even hear it. Well, over here what you can do is you can just drag that a little bit over, and it'll make it a little bit lower. I've also pitched this down, and you can see I've low passed it too. And then you can stretch it also with the warp. What you do is you just press that until it's all the way up, and you get this long like that, and it creates a great bass rumble. But then what we're doing is we're sending it into the hybrid reverb. So I've never done this before, but you can get some really great sounds with hybrid reverb for rumbles, because you can kind of control this like a bit more, like with the damping control and the bass multiplier and all that kind of stuff, plus the vintage control. If I turn off this filter, hear how that's adding like some saturation and kind of more fullness to the bass? So yeah, we've got that. Then I'm converting it to mono, of course, because it's reverb. Then we have a low pass filter. And then finally, I'm just sidechaining it to that side layer. And that works better for the rumble too. You can really hear that now. On the group, there's just an EQ cutting out some of those bass frequencies that you wouldn't hear that would get in the way of headroom. And then we also have a high pass filter, which actually just comes on in the beginning and the end. I've been learning a lot as I study these tracks. They don't usually do a lot of filtering. It's not like, like a peak time techno track where it's going to be like a high pass filter every 16 bars or something like that. It's really just like maybe the intro, maybe the outro, and that's it. Then we have the drums. I'll start with the hi-hats. So we have two layers. We have a ch, and then a 909 hi-hat, right? So this makes a great combo, because you get this, which is obviously like the classic techno sound, and it's going to hit really hard in your mix. But check out when we add the other one. See, just having that ch on top of there can do so much more for it. I mean, a lot of times people will sit there and they'll try to use like a transient shaper or a saturator on this to try to get this. Like what we can get even cleaner with literally just a shaker sample. Then we have the clap, which you can hear is this super punchy, distorted clap. So it's an 808 clap going into a reverb, which is only at like 1% wet, right? You don't even need that much, because then when you put it into the distortion also compresses stuff. So if you have a very little bit of reverb, like literally 1%, I mean, you don't even hear that. All of a sudden, it becomes so loud, though, when you turn that distortion on. And then we just have a high-pass filter. But you can hear, like, that really hits with the rest of the drums. Then we have this distorted percussion loop. So you can hear that, it just adds some like variation into the drums. Especially in the intro, I mean when you don't have like a whole lot of synths happening. It can really help to fill the arrangement out where you have, it would really just be drums, but this is something that can kind of be a synth and kind of be drums, and it all comes together as one. Then we have Rave loop. We actually have two of them. So you can see this one, obviously, you know, it's pretty simple. You're just using the Rave loop. And then over here, you can see it becomes more full. This is like a great way to use this, where basically you have this main one, which is like the most full. Right, like that has mid-range and highs. This one down here, I've actually high-passed it, so it's just highs. You can see it just adds like a nice like shaker over top of the other one. And what I'm doing is, you only get that when drop 2 comes. Like, you don't even hear that in this whole like first 3 minutes of the track. But that means then, all of a sudden, when drop 2 comes, and you hear that, all of a sudden it's like a big difference in energy. And that's something subtle you can do to make drop 1 and drop 2 different. Because a lot of times it's like, okay, well, if you're just going to have the same drums, like what's the purpose even of drop 2? But this way, you can add more energy with another layer, but it's not something that's going to get in the way because it's just high end. And when I turn that off, you hear the difference. And then we have the ride. It's nice, like 909 ride with a high pass. And that's it for the drums. And then we have this main bass. So what we're doing here musically is, we're in the key of C sharp minor. It's C sharp minor, so the root note, the 6th, the 4th, another 6th down here, and then just another root note up top. And the secret to that is that when you go up there, you know, most people can't really tell that that's just an octave of that. But you see how well that resolves if we go. It lands right back on that root note super well, like the first note of this pattern. So it's going to make the whole thing resolve really well, and it makes this pattern feel really nice. Also, the symmetry here, where this and that kind of hit on the same count, you can see. Now, for the sound, this one is made with 2 layers of analog. I've got them in an instrument rack here, so you can see we've got. And we've got. So, really, I'm doing this just to get 3 oscillators, because I wanted to have a 3rd oscillator, and obviously, analog only has 2. So, the first thing here is just a simple Reese bass, 2 saw waves, detuned. You know, low pass filter, which we're moving. I've got it mapped to a macro so we can control both of these at the same time. A bit of unison. That's really it. It's a very simple Reese bass. And then again, this is just a second oscillator where we're using a square wave. It's detuned a bit. You can hear it fits really nicely though with the other one. Then we have this chorus ensemble. I've got an audio effect rack, which is doing a multi-band distortion. So we have if I turn this off, see, it's super subtle, but it's just adding that nice kind of crunch and aggression in the top of the bass and in the mid-range too. This also really helps it stand out from the kick. So then we just have a sidechain high-pass filter, which comes on just when the kick is playing. You can see I've got that automated bass mono, and then another high-pass, which is really just to make this disappear at the end of the break. And then you can see I have it come back down. Then we have the lead. So you can see it's this pattern. It's this don don no 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 no. We're just walking up that C sharp minor scale. You know, we got our root note, our fourth, our fifth, and our sixth over and over. And then here it does minor third, root note, fourth, root note. It's actually very simple, but it's really more so about what's happening. It's like the catchiness of that pattern. Like how that just like fits together really well and repeats really nicely. That's what you're going for. For the sound, we've got wavetable. It's just a square wave with a bunch of noise unison. You can say I turn that all the way up to make it really pronounced, and it gives it a great texture. We have some reverb and then distortion after the reverb, which really helps the texture of this feel more aggressive and kind of fit better with the hard techno thing that you're going for. But we still have it blended, so you're still getting 50% wet. There's a high pass filter. I have this washout to make it just disappear there. Sidechain, and then a low pass which moves around throughout the track. Then we have this pad. So this is made with wavetable. You can see here are the notes. So this is starting with the C sharp minor chord. This is literally just a C sharp minor track. We have our root note, our fifth, and then our minor third. But what we're doing as this goes on here is kind of breaking away from specific chords. And really it's just a combination of a bunch of stuff in this C sharp minor scale that sounded good. Like that's not really a chord. That's technically like this weird ninth chord where you're not getting the minor third and you're also not getting the fifth. But you can see it's like I'm not really aiming to make like specific chords. It's just you can always know if you put together a few different notes in this key, like whichever key you're in, it's gonna sound pretty good. And then you find little melodies too, like this. But then that's also got, you know, so there's all these little melodies happening in there. Now, for the sound, it's these two different wavetables. We've just got a square wave, and then we've got this transformations wavetable. You can see I've got a bit of an LFO on that. And, yeah, some unison. It's this thing where you put the amount down to 0, though. Like you see the difference when I turn it on and off. There's a little difference. It just adds kind of a cool texture without being so in your face unison. Then we've got a bit of chorus, a bit of echo, some reverb, and then just low pass filter to bring this in and out. And then the last synth we have here is this choir from the intro. So the idea here is we have like kind of two pads. We have the one I just showed you and then this one. And you can have one that'll be just for the intro and one that's just for the drop. And this way, it'll kind of, again, help to differentiate the different parts. Because if you just have this same exact pad in each of these, it's going to be like, again, it's like, what's the point of having the second drop over here? But if you have something that only plays in the beginning and then something that only plays in the second half, it's going to feel like the track is progressing a lot more. As long as they're kind of simple, like these are both similar, but these are both pads, but you know, they're doing slightly different things. This is another one where I kind of just created a melody with some different notes in the scale. You can see it's like dun dun dun, like these very tight staccato notes. If I make them touch each other, you'll see you don't get the same sound. So that's the purpose of that. Then for the actual sound on this, we've got, so yeah, it's this choir sample inside of Simpler, very simple. And then I've got a bit of echo, a bit of reverb, high pass, low pass, which brings it in and out, as you've seen on a lot of these layers. And then just a compressor, side chaining it to the kick. And this one actually did side chain to the kick. We also have this little rave loop that comes in the break just to kind of like build up to the drop there, because you're not really going to have like a like a riser or a snare or something. So just this thing with a little low pass automation to bring it in, a bit of a washout as well to make it like fade nicely there. And yeah, and then the last thing we have down here is the effects. And the main thing to keep in mind with this is that you're not going to have too many, but I wanted to actually in this specific video show you like, this is probably about how much you want to have. You know, they're still placed around here. It's not too predictable, but it's not like 10 layers of these. It's like 4, 2, 3, 4 at the most, right? And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, literally every single thing from this video is available at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, guys. But this also really helps support you guys, because you can, like I said, if you just grab this, you will instantly take your tracks to the next level today. I promise you, you will make better stuff if you go grab this. It's not just about me. It's really about trying to help you guys and give you resources that you can really use to get where you've been trying to go. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.